Well, hello, hello, hello. We're here again. We are on lesson 6. Boy, oh boy, this just seems to keep going and going and going, and we just gonna stick with it. Let me make sure I put my timer on. Y'all know this is our routine that we do. All right, so timer is on. We're ready to go. Hello, welcome again to WSBH LLC, all the people. Where we talk about U.S. history in a very short, sweet, simple, but yet scintillating way for you to go and let some things kind of roll around in your mind, some questions you may have. I am not here to present myself as the authority. I am not. I am an educator for many, many years, early childhood education, taught up to second grade in a classroom full time. But I also did some my student teaching with middle school deaf, which I loved doing. I even considered getting my certification in deaf education and hearing impaired, but I did not feel like that was my niche. I always tell young educators, young teachers, teachers who are in it for the long haul is you have to find your niche. You have to find the thing that is just it fits. And early childhood education for me was my niche. I had a professor at shout out to Texas Southern University in Houston, Texas, at the College of Education. I had a professor by the name of Dr. Eva Beerus, who was just phenomenal, and ended up becoming my advisor and also a very dear mentor to me. But I can remember in my very first educational, early childhood educational class, I don't remember what the actual title of the course was, but she was talking about her experience in early childhood education and how the light bulb went on for her. And at that time, I was had returned back to school to teach, to get my degree in education. I had taught here and there without a degree, and let me just tell you, the numbers don't add up. The math don't be mathing if you don't have a degree. So I, with the support of my family and my village, I was able to go back to school and actually finish a school, single mother, parent, 3 kids, living with my grandparents, like the whole 9 yards, and working part time. But that's a story for another day. So today, let's talk about our lesson today, which is going to be a little interesting because, again, let me show you the book. We are coming from Joy Hakim's All the People, um, a history of us, meaning the United States, us, the United States of America, the people in the U.S., the us. That's what we mean by us. Like we don't have no filters or selection process. Us, those that are here. Okay, so today we're going to talk about, which is I'm almost chuckling because of the reason I don't pick. I'm just going chapter by chapter in this book. Matter of fact, this book, I had to look back. This book was originally written in 1993. It was copyrighted again in 99, 2003, 2006, 2010 was the last time that Joy Hakim had it copywritten, and this is the fourth edition. But this is 2025, and this book, I'm telling you, it's almost like it was previously written for today. And this is why, because our title today is called USSR History Not Like Us. Us, talking about us. And I'm gonna tell you why I that I will tell you why I am almost chuckling, because it is so profound how history could repeat itself if we don't take lessons. Like if we do not really take heed and listen, then it could possibly, I don't even want to say repeat itself. We could reap fruit that we don't have to, is I guess where I'm trying to come from. If we listen and are mindful and watchful of us not having to repeat a cycle or events that have already happened, that would be the for me a person who is very aware of not repeating cycles. I don't have to, like the term the saying goes, like, why would I thinking that you're going to do the same thing and get a different result is the definition of insanity. And that is how I look at all things. Like me doing the same thing I've always done, thinking that the result that I'm going to get is going to be different, that's insanity. When it has been proven that what it's if I do the same thing, I'm gonna more than likely gonna get that result. So let's go. We're gonna talk about Russia's history, right? And how it's not, we are not like them, and they are not like us. We don't want to be them. Okay. All righty. So in order to understand American history, I'm gonna give myself some more time because I talked a little bit more than I was intending to about my history, my own history. You know how I became a teacher and how I've been doing this thing for as long as I have and where I have been doing it. Okay, so in order to understand American history in the 20th century, you need to know some Russian history, which sounds strange. Like why we need to know about Russian history, but I'm going to. This is her um, reason for bringing this up in her third chapter of her book. Yes, on page 23. If you have not bought the book or you want to buy Joy Hakim, All the People of History of the US, find it on whatever book outlet you want to. Okay, so um partly it says that we had a very strong liking, almost an obsession for Russia, because there were real dangers to the world from communist Russia's dictatorship. Okay, it goes back into 1917. During World War One, Russia had a revolution. For centuries, Russia had a feudal society controlled by czars. Now, I've seen the word feudal before, but I was like, I'm not really sure how that relates. Like, I need a little bit more context. So let me grab. Y'all know I gotta grab Mr. Dictionary. Good old Mr. Dictionary. Yeah, sturdy, Mr. Dictionary. All right, so we're gonna look up the word feudal. Y'all know A B C D E F G. If you was here if you watched last week's lesson, you know that we use a bound dictionary. We also use dictionary.com, but y'all know I love a book. I love to hear the pages turn. It's just something about it. I don't know. Call me different. Alrighty, so feudal means of a feud, outdated. It says a feudal system is the social system in medieval Europe whereby a people held land. It says vassal, but I'm going to interject people in there. Held land from a superior in exchange for allegiance and service. A feudal society. A czar is a person with great authority. And that's what was happening in Russia. They had, sorry y'all, I'm getting all these notifications on my phone. You turn my Bluetooth off. You have all this stuff connected, and then it is so annoying because you have it all connected for a reason, and then it just continues to do what you connected it for when you don't need it to. Alrighty, so when we're talking about a czar, it was a person with great authority, right? And I don't having a problem with people having authority or people having a type of power, or I don't have, I would rather someone take, have never wanted the office of president. That is just too much power, too much responsibility, too much obligation. Folk be at your door all times, day and night. No, thank you. Okay. However, I do admire and respect those who do. That is something that they have a desire to do. What really just grinds my gears is when you take that and abuse it and use it for your own selfishness. And then that constitutes a czar or a dictator. in my opinion. That's what I believe. So many of Russia's czars were selfish tyrants with absolute control over their people. When did the United States of America citizens sign up for someone to have total control, absolute control over us? They not like us. Not like us. Sorry, kid, like not like us. We are not. That's not what I signed up for. That's not what I paid my taxes and educated hundreds, maybe even thousands of children. That's not what I signed up for. Okay. So the Russian people wanted something different. They wanted peace, opportunities, and freedom. So now I'm going to go a little bit into the history so that we can understand, because we're going to talk about communism again. And so I want to go a little bit into that, and end with that, so that we can get an understanding how this is all tying in together and how this is all relevant to today. This is I'm taping this on March the 30th of 2025. I will drop it tomorrow, which is Monday, March the 31st. But it is so relevant. Like, I am literally watching this and reading this and seeing this in my current news feed. It's popping up. Okay, so it says Alexander Kerensky led a revolution in 1917. This was during the time of, I just read about, during the First World War. Okay. When Vladimir Ilyich Lenin heard that news, he was in Switzerland where he had been exiled by the Tsar. He headed home to Russia. Lenin, who was the head of a radical political party called the Bolsheviks, ousted Kerensky in a second revolution a few months after the first. Kerensky was a moderate, so he was not so bad. Lenin was not. He formed a communist government. It was an experiment. Communism had never been tried in a whole nation before. Lenin had to use force to make it work. Going back to the point of leaders, right? I just said that I don't mind. I don't want somebody has to lead our country. Somebody needs to be in a position of leadership. That's just the way that the system is set up. We can't all just go out in the street and, do our thing and then hope that as a country, as a nation, we will all have to reach our goals. Like, it just doesn't happen that way. Somebody needs to be leading and at the forefront. What is more important to me is, what type of leader are you? And I say that for me, my most prominent leader or president in my lifetime was Barack Hussein Obama. Not because he was black. That is not the reason why. It is just cherry on top that he happened to be half black. That was, and the first black or African American president, whatever title you want to give it. But this is why there are two reasons why I voted for Obama in 2008. I think is when he ran the first time. And I voted for him because he made a point about early childhood education. He did a speech, or I saw a clip of where he was talking about the importance of making sure that all children have the right to quality education. And for me, as an early childhood educator, that stuck out to me because that was so lost in so many political arenas and political conversations that it was very rare to hear that from a presidential candidate. That was number one. Number two is why I voted for him 8 years later, which would be 2016, is because, did I say that right? 2012, sorry. 4 years, yeah. Voted for him 4 years later, my bad, is because of one, I heard him say this statement about leadership. He says, and the quote says, this is from November, I think it was 2012. Okay. It says, a true leader has the confidence to stand alone, the courage to make tough decisions, and the compassion to listen to the needs of others. To me, That is what a true leader is. It is a person who does not have, I ain't gotta have, I actually enjoy going out by myself. I actually enjoy having experiences that are just for me all alone because I get to experience it fully by myself without loved ones, friends, family. Not that I, don't enjoy their company, but I don't get to show up and experience it just specifically for myself. And so I appreciate a person who understands that I am just as happy having these experiences or being by myself so that I can take it all in, process it, and then really express how I feel about it. And then the courage to make those tough decisions and the compassion, especially the compassion to listen to the needs of others. That is a skill. I believe that should be a very big indicator in a leader. Okay. Now I'm running out of time. Okay, let me get back to this. So it says that there's my timer, y'all. Okay. I'm gonna have to do let me get to this point. I got a few more minutes before I'm overtime. Okay, so we talked about Kerensky, right? So communism had never, we talked about Lenin had used it to force to make it work. He soon created a vicious, unfree, totalitarian government. When Lenin died, Joseph Stalin took over. He was worse than Lenin and worse than any of the czars. He killed millions of his own people. This was his own people, his own blood. He killed them. Russians were who protested were murdered or sent to prison camps in Siberia. Okay. So this total czar had total control, but why? What was he trying to get total control to do over those who was resisting him? Okay. Now, we also talked about communism. Most of the ideas for modern communism came from a 19th century thinker named Karl Marx. He was the one where this communism thought belief came from. Marx wanted to make the world better. He looked at capitalism and saw that without regulation, wealth soon piled up in a few hands and left many people miserable. There was something even more disturbing to that. Money power usually led to political power. So the poor had double troubles. They had no money and no political power. Marx said capitalism was doomed, and during the worldwide depression of the 1930s, it seemed it was right. Under Marx's economic system, people are supposed to work hard and give their products to the government, which is then expected to distribute things fairly to everyone as needed. Karl Marx didn't know a lot about human beings because most people need a reason to work hard. Most people, not like us. That's why I titled it that, because you mean to tell me that you think that I am going to be okay with working to give what I make or what I produce to you, thinking that you are going to distribute it evenly to those who are in need, and it could be me. I could be one of those one that need it. However, what you're doing is storing it up and making yourself more money, more resources, more, and I am almost to the point of I'm dying. Like, that's a problem. That's a problem. And I don't it I look, I know that what I am most encouraged by is that people are really rising up. The rising up and waking up. Like the woke movement, we woke. We are woke. And I'm glad about that. No, I don't want to see, people suffer. I don't want to see anybody suffer. I don't want to see this this thing come to a head where our country is completely decimated because we could not understand that every US citizen deserves the right to choose the quality of life and liberty and freedom for themselves. Like, It's just that simple. I don't get to choose what your liberty and freedom should look like, and you don't get to choose for me. That's it. All right, y'all. I'm out. I know I was a little long winded today. All right. God bless you.